ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Okay, I'm so glad to see you in this morning. And I'm saying thank you for the audience to coming in my presentation today. So before I start to present my presentation in this morning, let me introduce myself. As you know, my name is Munisan Duru, and I am from English Education, and now I am 5th semester. Okay, in this year I want to present my presentation that have 3 chapters or 3 parts. And for the first one is about the introduction, and the second one is a review of related literature, and the last one is methodology of the research. Before I start to discuss about the introduction, I want to introduce you about my topic of research proposal. My topic of the topic of my research proposal is an error analysis on the use of English articles in student written descriptive text. Okay, the purpose of this research is to help the teachers to make easy the students to understand about how to use the articles in written descriptive text, and make the students also easy to understand the explain of the teachers the using of articles in student written descriptive text. Okay, let's talking about the introduction. In this year we will discuss 4 parts about the background, reason, statement, and objective. For the first, we are discussing about the background of the study. The background of the study in my research is when I was going to finish my first PLP at Senior High School Negeri 1 Teluk Dalam. I was find this case. I was find this mistake about the use of articles in written descriptive text. For sometimes the teachers from English Education at Negeri 1 Teluk Dalam Senior High School is need me to correction about the assignment of the students. So I help him to correction about that, and I find this case about this mistake how to use the articles in written descriptive text, because they are not can better use the articles in written descriptive text. So that can make me so interested to research about this, and I want to make the new innovation about this. Okay, next we are discuss about a reason for choosing this topic. Okay, before I was explain about the background of the study, you can conclude about this, and you can make the conclude what or the reason for choosing this topic. Because I think for the first is I'm so interested because this is the new topic, I think, because I was read the thesis of our senior is not discuss about this, so that's why I choose this topic. Okay, next about the reason for choosing this topic also. As we know, the articles is part of the important about how to speak, especially to speak and written. So I think because it is very important, especially at speaking and at speaking and written. So that's why I choose this topic. I want to make for the first is I say new innovation about this, and help the teachers to make the students easy to understand about this topic. Okay, next we are discuss about statement of the problem. Yeah, the statement of the problem here have 3 parts. Is for the first is, do the students make errors on the use of English articles in their text? Yes, this is about the question about the statement of the problem. And the second one is, how is the error distribution in using English articles of students who written descriptive text? So, and the third one is, do the errors made by the students cause problems in their learning? And next, this is the last of the introduction. Next, we are discuss about the objective of the study. Yeah, the objective of the study is, the firstly is to identify whether the students make errors in the use of English articles in their text or not. And the second one is to identify the error distribution by the students in using English articles. And the last one is to identify whether the errors made by the students cause problem in their learning. Okay, next we move to another chapters. The second chapter is, the review of related literature. In this part, we are discussing so many about this topic, maybe for 7 or 8 topic. So pay your attention. This is very important about the review of related literature. Okay, for the first one, we are discuss about the previous studies. In this year, we are discussing about the previous studies. Yeah, the previous studies I make is short explaining. So pay your attention because it is very important to us. There are many studies in second language acquisition or SLA, which have examined English article acquisition in 2008. Beckmer and Pipp held a research which investigated the change pursued university students of Portsmouth, and first purpose of their study was to get the data about change in Spanish students in using English article in order to test their hypothesis that Chinese learners had both grammatical and pragmatic deficit, whereas Spanish learners had only pragmatic deficit. Okay, in 2011, a research about English articles errors was also conducted by Barrett and Chen. So they investigated 30 students of the third year university students who attended writing class with the same lecturer. They would like to know to what extent the students correct English article system. This research is revealed that even adult learners of EFL also made errors in their writing, especially in using English articles. So in Indonesian also, students about error analysis in using English articles also become in understanding valid. So there was Kusumaningrum according to 2008, who examined 40 students of 11th grade of Senior High School Negeri 1 Kendal. The objective of her study was to find out the 11th grade students' dominant errors on the definite and indefinite articles in written narrative text. Let's move to talking about related literature. This is the second part of the second chapter. Next, this subchapter discussing the definition of error analysis in differences between error and mistake. So, procedures of error analysis, English article system, writing descriptive text, and teaching English article system in senior high school. So, next is we are discussing about the error analysis. Error analysis is learning a second foreign language requires much more effort compared to learning a native language. Learning a native language is easier because learners have been exposed to it since they were born. Furthermore, the people and children are able to speak. The first word will be what they imitate from their environment or native language. On the contrary, learning a second language on or foreign language begins after the children firstly master their native languages. So therefore it needs more effort to learn because their prior knowledge of language is planted partly in their brain and influences their second or foreign language learning. Okay, next we will discuss about the definition of error analysis. I hope you can mention about this because it is very important because this is the discussing about the error analysis. There are many definitions of error analysis proposed by famous linguistics. This is the statement of the professor and the Brown in his book entitled Principle of Language Teaching and Learning. Writes that learners does make errors and these errors can be observed, analyzed and classified reveal something of the system operating within the learner. So it is about the meaning of the statement of the problem. So I make the conclusion of this topic is what is the definition of error analysis? Yes. As its function which enable linguists to know learners' acquisition in learning a target language, error analysis becomes an important weight in teaching learning activities. But according by Huang 2002, mentioned that error analysis is important because it gives more information not only in the insights of immediate nature of learner systems, but also provides more insight into the process of language teaching and learning. As a result, the data they need from analyzing the errors are useful in elaborating the best teaching technique in order to improve learners' ability in mastering the target of the language. Next, we will discuss about the differences between error and mistake. I'm sorry. Okay. In this part, we are discussing about the difference between error and mistake. In establishing an error analysis, the distinction between error and mistake is very important. Yeah, it's very important. It will give a clear boundary about which data are going to be analyzed and which are not. So I think this is also how many the statement of the professor also. So I make the conclude from this. Yes, based on the previous explanation about the statement of the difference about error and mistake, it can be concluded that errors is produced because of the incomplete learning of learner which cannot be self-corrected, whereas mistakes are the result of the learner's condition such as fatigue and anxiety, which makes them unable to produce a correct sentence and can be self-corrected. Okay, next. We are discussing about the procedure of error analysis. Yes, the procedure of error analysis is, for the first one is, this is according by Ellis 2003, 16 to 20, explained that there are 4 steps in analyzing errors. They are described as follows, yes, 4 parts. And for the first one is identifying errors. I will explain about this to you. In identifying errors, in order to identify errors, we have to compare sentence that learners produce with what seems to be normal or correct sentence in the target language, which corresponds with the 2003. For example, a man, a little boy, was watching him. It is not difficult to see that the correct sentence should be, because the correct of this is a man, a little boy were watching him. This is difference about the how to use the was and where. Next, we are discuss about the descriptive errors. This is about the statement of Ellis. After identifying errors, they are classified into types of error. Ellis 2003 also suggests that one way errors can be classified into grammatical categories by gathering all the errors relating to one grammatical category, such as verb, to identify the different kinds of verb errors. Another way might to be try to identify general ways in which the learner's utterance differ from the reconstructed touch language utterance. Such ways include omission, misinformation, and misordering. Okay, the third one is about explaining errors. Once errors can be identified and classified, the next step is to explain why they occur. Errors can have different sources. Some errors seem to be universal, reflecting learners attempt to make the task of the learning and using the second language simpler. Some are common only for those who share the same mother tongue. And the last part is about the error evaluation. In the error evaluation, is able to help learners to learn the second language. Some errors which consider more serious need to be focused by the teacher. Some errors known as global errors violate and the overall structure of a sentence, and for this reason may make it difficult to process. Okay, next about the last of this chapter is English article system. English article function indeterminate in a sentence. They are classified as quantifiers because they serve to quantitably delimit the number or amount of the entity mentioned according by Glemy in 2013. Learners have to apply the correct article which creating a sentence by considering the semantic, grammatic, and grammatical features of noun phrases. Okay, let's move to the last chapter. This is discussing about the methodology of the research. Okay, for the first one, we are discussing or talking about the subject of the study. What is the subject of the study? The subject of the study of research is 32 students of class 10 IPA Lavender Assigment dalam Cilacap. This was class chosen based on the English teacher's suggestion. He considered the students of class 10 at Assigment dalam Senior High School to be the most motivated students in learning English. As this study is case study, the result is only applicable to the students of this and cannot be generalized to the other classes. Next is about the object of the study. What is the object of the study? Yeah, the object of the study is focus on English articles errors. Just only focus on English article errors. And thus, the object of the study is error in using article which occurred in the student's written descriptive text. Next, instrument for collecting the data. The instrument of the studies is writing text. Students will work individually to write a descriptive text during the given time in order to trigger the student's idea and suggest some topic. So the students can choose one of the topics and start writing. The test instrument of research can be seen in the appendix 1 of page 45. Next, procedure of collecting the data. In order to collect the data efficiently, I firstly did an observation at the school. Before holding the writing test, I met students of class 10 IPA Lavender Senior High School to explain about my research and their role as the subject of it. I also discussed the proper time to do the writing test. The writing test was held for 90 minutes, only 90 minutes, and the students were given certain topics to ease them. They were ordered to write 15 sentences at minimum, so there will be wider range to correct the date or English article error identification. Okay, the procedure of analyzing the date of this is the data need to be analyzed and to eventually determine the article's distribution, as has been done by Barrett and Chen in their research toward Taiwanese college students in FL writing. In analyzing the data, I use of procedure of error analyzing by Alice as follows. Yes, I was explaining about this. The first is identifying errors, and the second is describe errors. The third one is explaining errors, and the last one is evaluating errors. And next, this is the last of this part, triangulation. In order to ensure the validity of results, I use triangulation for checking my data analysis. Triangulation is a kind of checking technique of the validity which uses something else out of the data. This is according by Moellon 2004. There are 4 kinds of triangulation. For the first one is data. The triangulation is the use of variety of data sources in a study. And the second one is investigator triangulation in the use of several different researches of evaluators. And the last one is theory triangulation in the use of multiple perspectives to interpret a single set of the data. So in this research, I use the investigator triangulation for checking the errors identification. Thus, there will be a second investigator to identify errors made by students. Then, to identify English articles error by the second investigator are compared with my identification as the first investigator. I'm sorry, I have one topic of more, and this is the last about the research design. This is the research design. In order to eventually change the data of the student, errors in using English articles, a case study is conducted, and this enables me focusing on the case deeply. So this has been emphasized by in 2009, the case study of investigation a contemporary between phenomenon and context are not clearly evident, especially when the boundaries between phenomenon and context are not clearly evident. Different important aspect of the case of the study's methodology is validation. Yeah, it is important that the data treated is valid by triangulation. Triangulation provides an important way of ensuring the validity of case student research. Normally, data collection methods are triangulated or many methods are combined. But in addition to this, the search theory or investigators might also be triangulated or enzyme in Johnson 23. Yes, I think this is the last of my presentation. Okay, I think this is the last of my presentation. And if you have a question or you want to understand about my presentation, you can ask, you can make a question about this topic. And anyone question?
No question.
Yes, I'm so very happy if you not have a question. And I think you understand about my presentation today, and I hope it is not about your say or you understand about this, but I think and I hope you understand or get something about my presentation today, and you can add your own information about this topic. And thank you for the audience to coming, and thank you for your pay attention